Derek Carr is officially a free agent. He has been released. And the difference between Derek Carr and these other quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson and Mike White and Jimmy G, he can sign with a new team immediately. So Derek Carr has quite a big advantage here to finding a new home. And we're talking about it right now. We're live. True Penguin first in the building. Appreciate you. Swaggy, Ron Navy, Golf, Dan, Joe next in the building. This guy can sign with a new team tomorrow. Everybody else has to wait. Everybody else has to wait until next month. But Derek Carr can go wherever he wants tonight, tomorrow. And so he's going to find a home very quickly. He's also going to set the tone a little bit for the quarterback movement situation we're about to break down. And it wouldn't shock me at all. This guy was due $40.4 million. The Raiders had to release him today. The Raiders had to trade him. But they couldn't trade him because Derek Carr had him by the balls. And so now you got to ask yourself, is this guy going to go get $100+ million guaranteed deal? I think he will. Derek Carr gets a lot of shade. A lot of people throw a lot of negativity at Derek Carr. He's the biggest free agent quarterback in a free agency we're heading into that has literally, there's 6-7 teams that need a quarterback, 4 or 5 which are potential playoff contending teams. You might argue that here and there, and that's fine. But there are 4 or 5 teams that could essentially be playoff contending teams, and he's the number 1 free agent quarterback. Aaron Rodgers has to be traded for. Lamar Jackson has to be traded for. And then there's Derek Carr. Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers. Let me show you the Aaron Rodgers board. Might be called the Derek Carr board now. Miami, the Raiders, who obviously won't go after Derek Carr. The Jets, the Bucs, the Saints. And there's more. There's more teams that need a quarterback. Teams like Arizona won't have Kyler Murray for half a season. But we're talking about starting caliber quarterbacks that are going to make a difference. Aaron Rodgers, Lamar, Derek Carr. But here's the kicker. These teams are petrified. Petrified Peters. Worried about not landing one of 2 of the uncontrollable, less controllable situations in Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson because there's a trade involved. It's not a guarantee. There's no guarantee Aaron Rodgers isn't going to come out of his darkness retreat and say, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and retire. Or, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and stay in Green Bay. He's no guarantee to be available. And then Lamar Jackson, there's zero guarantee that the Ravens are going to tag and trade him. They might tag him. It's looking like they're going to tag him. They're $100 million apart in guaranteed money. So a tag is very, very likely. Very likely. But a tag and trade, there's no guarantee. That means that there's one quarterback that's a guaranteed difference maker, playoff contender type of addition. And there's this many teams, more than this many teams, that need a signal caller badly. And you could argue this Miami one, I understand. I'm going to tell you that Miami Mike's smarter than that. Miami Mike's smarter than putting everything back on the table. Same pieces on the board and trying to run it back when he knows the outcome will be no quarterback, no starting quarterback in the playoffs. That's what Miami Mike, I believe, knows. So answer me this. Knowing this lay of the land that I've laid out, knowing what you know about the way I feel about this, the way you feel about it, knowing what you know about these teams and what they probably want, answer me this. Are these teams going to wait around for Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson possibilities next month? Or are all of them going to try and strike and get this guy, Derek Carr, the top free agent quarterback, the top guaranteed option for these teams to potentially solve their quarterback problems? Are they going to sit around and wait? No, they're not. Derek Carr is going to find not only a home very, very quickly, but Derek Carr is going to get paid bank. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Smitty. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. You may not believe in Derek Carr. Some of you may, some of you may not. It doesn't really matter what anybody believes. It matters what the perception is in terms of trying to predict where he's going to go. So a lot of people are going to say they don't like Derek Carr. Derek Carr is not going to be that good. I don't think Derek Carr is worth this. I don't think Derek Carr is worth that. And some people might even say, I don't think Derek Carr is worth this amount of money, so therefore he's not going to get it. What you think doesn't matter, okay? What you think doesn't matter. What I think doesn't matter. What matters is what are these teams capable of paying. So looking at the quarterback movement board, it's like the Jets are willing to go to the mattresses and get all the money they've saved up. They're willing to go get everything they have and are capable of shoveling out to win now. And if anybody thinks Derek Carr isn't good enough to win in New York or good enough to win in Miami, I don't know. I disagree with you. I respect your opinion. But Derek Carr's a good quarterback. He was once an MVP candidate. You know, he was playing at a high level. He's got a lot of football left. He's not at the end of his road by any means, in my opinion. He just needs a different situation. And there's reason to believe that the Raiders have, they're going to have a difficult time trying to lure in Aaron Rodgers in one sense. They may get him. I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers won't go there ultimately, but they may have a tougher time than the Jets luring in Aaron Rodgers because they've had Derek Carr, and I'm sure Aaron Rodgers feels Derek Carr's competent. They had Josh Jacobs, which they have to franchise tag and hold in an unhappy fashion. Unless Aaron Rodgers lands there, I think then I think Josh Jacobs will be excited because Josh Jacobs has said two things. He once said before, I don't want to play on the tag. And then he came back and during the Radio Row interviews during the Super Bowl, he said something to the tune of, I'm paraphrasing, that if they reload and they bring in some talent and go for a shot, go for a Super Bowl, he will play on the $10 million franchise tag. And $10 million is not a lot of money, which means that the Raiders can afford to go get Aaron Rodgers for what will be about $60 million. Any team that acquires Aaron Rodgers will have to trade for the guy, giving up draft capital, right? You're giving up multiple first rounders to get Aaron Rodgers, or at least a first rounder, and I don't know. It seems like it's going to be multiple. I know Lamar's going to take 2 or 3. Aaron Rodgers, I would assume, would take at least 2, or 1 in a conditional or something, but you never know. It's hard to know what his value is, given he might have just 1 more year. So it's possible we look at a like a top 10 pick in this draft class. The Raiders have a top 10 pick. And the scary part for these teams, as I alluded to earlier, is that there are not that many options. If you miss, you're done. If you miss, you're done. If you're the Raiders and you strike out on Lamar and Aaron Rodgers, both of which are no guarantees to be traded at all. They're not guaranteed. We think they'll both get traded. I think they'll both ultimately get traded. But what I think and what will happen aren't always going to be the same thing because there's a lot of moving parts. The wind blowing that way, the wind blowing that way. Aaron Rodgers doing a darkness retreat. Lamar Jackson could be happy all of a sudden because the Ravens could find some money and say, let's pay the guy the $100 million extra that he wants in guaranteed money. And then everything gets resolved. A lot of moving parts. No way to predict this thing with a tremendous amount of accuracy because it could go in different directions on a spur of the moment type of thing where even the owner of the team says, you know what, I had eggs and bacon today that gave me some indigestion. I'm feeling a little angry. Get the guy out of here. We don't know how it's going to unfold. Okay, let me say that right now. So I love when people come in and go, ha ha, Smitty, I told you Aaron Rodgers was going to go to the Jets and not the Raiders when I've said both of them are the most highly likely landing spots. You don't know. You don't know, Bill. Okay, you don't know. But what I can tell you, Bill, is that Aaron Rodgers at the current moment before his darkness retreat feels like he's going to one of these 2 locations, not back to Green Bay, not retiring, but sleep deprivation, lightness deprivation. I don't know what that's going to do to him, to be completely honest. I don't know what it's going to do to me if I decide to run myself into a darkness retreat alongside of him and live stream it like we've been talking about. We might do that. I'm serious about that. Either way, if Aaron Rodgers ends up a Raider or a Jet via trade, or I guess if he goes back to Green Bay. If he goes back to Green Bay, I think he deserves a live stream as well. to the tune of what his jersey number is, 1-2. 12 hours of Aaron Rodgers talk. You know you loved it last time. People made fun of us. Oh, you went live for 10 hours last year to announce only that Aaron Rodgers wasn't ready to announce his announcement. Everyone's like, ha ha, do you feel stupid going live? We had a huge victory that day. We predicted that Aaron Rodgers would make an announcement, and no one even had that information. We went live, I believe it was a Sunday night, I think, and we woke up Monday morning, and, oh no, it was Wednesday or Tuesday, I forget what it was, and Aaron Rodgers Tuesday, I think it was, and we woke up and we predicted that Aaron Rodgers would make an announcement, and sure enough, there was a scheduled appearance in the Pat McAfee show that was unscheduled. It was unscheduled, and then all of a sudden it popped up scheduled, and they're like, he's coming on the show to announce something, and we just went crazy. We went live for 10 straight hours predicting an Aaron Rodgers announcement, and at the tail end of the 10 hours, Smitty's tired. He says on the Pat McAfee show, my announcement is that I'm not ready to decide or announce anything, and we all went. But we're still excited. We're still excited because of what we accomplished. We go live when Aaron Rodgers does weird things. That's just what we do. I love Aaron Rodgers. I don't dislike him. I don't think he's this drama queen. I think he loves drama a little bit, but he's a signal caller. He's a big name player. He's a confident, gunslinging Hall of Fame quarterback that deserves a little spotlight. And most people go digging in for it, the information. Most people go probing, and then they announce what they find, and then everybody complains about how Aaron Rodgers is crying or trying to make a big deal out of anything. He only goes on Pat McAfee to talk, and then that's it. Everybody else reports on when he talks or probes him at some golfing event, and then everybody gets mad at him for it and says he wants to control the narrative, and he wants to be this, like, diva and in the spotlight, and people just have Aaron Rodgers pegged all wrong. I could care less what anybody thinks about Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers, and if Aaron Rodgers gets traded to the Raiders or the Jets or stays in Green Bay and doesn't retire, maybe even if he retires, we still give him an 8 to 10 hour live stream. But we're going to celebrate Aaron Rodgers. The moment he turns Adams back into a monster, the moment he turns Garrett Wilson into a Moon Men times 10. Moon Men?
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
Look at these gentlemen, and this guy Garrett Wilson will become an absolute menace. An absolute menace for defenses if he ends up popping off with Aaron Rodgers as his signal caller. But let's talk about this for a moment. Let's swing back in the direction of Derek Carr, because this topic is supposed to be about Derek Carr. Derek Carr in New York is phenomenal for
the Moon Men,
Garrett Wilson,
dropping loads in outer space.
Aaron Rodgers is phenomenal for Christian Watson if he returns to Green Bay.
Space Monsters.
Derek Carr is phenomenal for Olave if Derek Carr goes to New Orleans, but that's already shot because they asked this man, he went over there, wasted his time. They asked him to take a pay cut from the $40 million deal. They didn't even want to give him like a new contract in a massive deal. Garrett Wilson, if he gets Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr, I don't know what we do. I think we put him on we already did. We put him on the Mars Man list already.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars Men.
Look at these gentlemen. These are your Mars Men. These are your league winners.
Loads dropping and spinning aimlessly in space.
I'm sure we'll add a fifth, but right now I couldn't feel more locked in to this Mars Men quad. This Mars Men quad looks absolutely filthy. This is a menace. The Menace Mars Men 2023. Look at them. Bijan, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Garrett Wilson. If you can land these four on a roster, you better walk straight to League Safe and ask them for an advance. And if you show them your roster, I'm pretty sure they're going to go, hey, Billy, Billy, come take a look at this. Where are we going here? There we go. Billy, come take a look at this. Like the old joke, the joke where, never mind, I'm not going to say it. The one where grandma says, hey, y'all, come take a look at this. It's like that. They're going to literally say, hey, come take a look at this guy's roster. He's going to hold it up to the screen. Like this. I don't even have a piece of paper anywhere. He's going to hold it up to the screen and say, on the glass over at League Safe, and say, here's my roster. up against the glass. They're going to say, let this guy in. Give him whatever he wants in advance. He's got the Mars men.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars men.
This team looks phenomenal. But back to the Derek Carr situation. Derek Carr, I firmly believe if he could end up in Carolina, like that is one potential thought, because that is a location where they've wanted him. That is a location where he may have some interest we don't really understand the depth of. You know what I mean? Something like that could swing in the mix, and that's why there's a lot of moving parts and we don't truly know what's up. But when you look at this situation here, if you're a quarterback and you're Derek Carr and you know that Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson are soon, in a month, going to be acquirable by these teams, you're going to act quick. You don't want these guys coming in and stealing the show. Derek Carr will sign, I believe, very soon, this month, in February, because he's going to want to get a jump on these two guys and have his choice of where he wants to go. The moment Aaron Rodgers comes back from his darkness retreat and does, if he does, say, I want to be traded, then all of a sudden these teams back off. They take their foot off the gas on Derek Carr. Derek Carr is going to strike first. Derek Carr, right now, these teams are scared that Aaron Rodgers and Lamar might not actually be available. They don't know yet. So they're going to be scared into, okay, we're going to accept Derek Carr if we get a chance, because what if we don't have a chance? If you're one of these teams and you miss out on these three guys, you're done. Miami's not winning with Tua the whole season. They might have production. I'm still going to love the receivers. I still like Tua when he's out there starting, because anybody starting, my grandma starting in this lineup would do absolutely magnificent. So let me make sure that's very clear. If Tua's in there, we will be excited per start for Tua, but Tua's not going to stay on the field. Tua's not going to stay healthy. In my opinion, concussions are something that occur more and more frequency every time you have him. He's not going to be able to make it a very long period of time, in my opinion. That's my opinion. And I think Miami Mike is smart enough to know that Miami Mike is going to take a look at Derek Carr and potentially try and offer him a big fat contract and lure him in, because Derek Carr could sign with any one of these teams today, tomorrow, whereas Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy G, all these free agents and the trade potential pieces here, they can't do anything till next month. Derek Carr's got he's got the world by the balls. He had the Raiders by the balls. Now he's got the world by the balls. Whether you like him or not, he's going here. And if you're Derek Carr and you want money and you want a championship, are you looking at Carolina? Probably not. Unless there's some kind of deep-rooted desire to go there for some reason we don't know, or it's just deeper than that. But if you are Derek Carr, hit that thumb up button. We got about 100 people in here and 12 thumbs up. Please wipe your feet. Help your boy Smitty. Hit that thumb up button. Those are rookie numbers. 12 thumbs up. Rookie numbers. Punch those thumbs ups and wipe your feet in the door, at the door. So if you're Derek Carr, picture yourself. Okay, I want a championship and I want to get paid. Guess what? He controls the market right now. He controls the situation. He's getting paid no matter where he goes. He goes to the Miami Dolphins, he gets paid. He goes to the Jets, he gets paid. He goes to the Bucs, he gets paid. The Saints aren't going to pay him because the Saints are cheap. But he goes to these two situations, he's getting paid because they're bidding. It's a bidding war for one guy because they don't know that guy 2 and guy 3 are going to be available. It's a bidding war. It's like one house being available and there's 10 buyers. Okay? And when there's 10 buyers in one house, the listing price doesn't even matter. Derek Carr could walk out and say, I'm looking for $100 million guaranteed. He could say that, and he could get paid $150 million guaranteed. Why? Supply and demand. Supply and demand will create a bidding war. A bidding war will trump anything that he wants. He's going to get paid bank wherever he goes. And if you're Derek Carr, and you got the Carolina Panthers and all these other options, right? You got the Bucs, maybe. You still are entertaining the Saints. Maybe they're sorry. They send you a Valentine's Day letter today and say, I'm sorry, Derek Carr, we're going to pay you now. We tried to play hardball, and we got screwed. We'll go ahead and pay you now. Regardless, are you going to accept these locations if you're getting paid bank everywhere? No. You're going to look at championship potential, elite wide receivers, two of the best probably the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. The fastest for sure. But mixed with the offense, this is the best situation in football. Lamar, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr should be licking their chops trying to get into this situation with Miami Mike in this playoff contending offense with a playoff mastermind coach at the helm and weapons galore. And if Derek Carr can't get in there, let's say let's say the blinders are on. The Tua blinders are back on. The Tua goggles are back on Miami Mike. And again, Tua will do good per start. I get that. I do concede to that. Unlike last year, we didn't know. And your boy Smitty, those glasses turned into permanent vision, 2020 vision, because Tua looked fantastic in there. But whoever goes there is going to look fantastic. If Derek Carr can't get into Miami, the New York Jets will sign him, I believe, if they feel like they're going to have their potential future slip away from their grasp, waiting on Aaron Rodgers and waiting on Lamar. What I mean by that is, we know Aaron Rodgers wants to go to the Jets or the Raiders if he does want to go somewhere, right? Maybe Aaron Rodgers has had conversations with the Jets. Maybe there's some sort of information they know that is going to make them hold off on Derek Carr and take the gamble from what they do believe to be true. Hopefully it doesn't bite him in the rear end, because this guy apparently says he doesn't even know what he wants to do. He might want to retire. So that all tells me that Aaron Rodgers probably, I'm just giving you scenarios, probably hasn't given the Jets any sort of weird indication that he's going there. So in my opinion, the Jets are in freak-out mode. The Miami Dolphins are probably in a little freak-out mode. The Raiders are in freak-out mode because they have to go after these two guys who aren't even officially available, and they just let Carr go, so they're not in the Carr game. So the Raiders are like, we either get Aaron Rodgers or Lamar, or we're screwed because we're paying Davante Adams bank, and we've got a window of time to win. We're going to franchise tag or not Jacobs based on if we get Aaron Rodgers, because this guy's going to be unhappy if we're not reloading. Can you imagine franchising tagging the leading rusher in the NFL in Jacobs and not giving him a quarterback? It's a disaster. The Raiders are in a dire situation. They're backed into a corner. They need to pay Aaron Rodgers bank. They need to give up more than anybody else is willing to give up to get Aaron Rodgers, because I don't know that Lamar's tied to the Raiders at all. I don't know that there's any vibe that a trade would happen between these two teams, that Lamar's interested in being a Las Vegas Raider. Maybe he is. Maybe that news breaks. We'll go live on it if it does. But we have a situation here where it's Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers or die for the Las Vegas Raiders. So they're going to go all in. They're going to go all in. The Jets know that. The Jets are saying to themselves, okay, we better go get Derek Carr. We better pay him bank. Let's give him $150 million guaranteed on a $200 million contract. And everyone's going to be like, oh my God, Derek Carr is going to be the talk of the town, the belle of the ball, the guy that everybody says is overpaid. Can't believe he got paid $150 million. What a joke. The Jets are the Jets. The Jets are the Jets. But guess what? Derek Carr is going to come out with a chip on his shoulder. Derek Carr is going to come out and go attack these wide receivers and Garrett Wilson, revive Elijah Moore, and turn Breece Hall into an absolute monster. And I'm not worried about Hackett with Derek Carr there. I'm not worried about Hackett with Aaron Rodgers there. I'm not worried about Hackett with Lamar there. Hackett is a problem, a little bit of a problem, if there's not an elite potential quarterback. And I am calling Derek Carr a potential elite quarterback, not to the tune of a top 5 fantasy quarterback, but in the variety of the 7 to 12, and for football context, he can play like a top 6 quarterback any given Sunday in a Jets offense that's supported by a Jets defense that will give and take and help this offense move the football down the field. Field position. Good defense in practice every day is going to do Derek Carr wonders. Playing against Sauce Gardner in practice every day is going to do Derek Carr wonders. Derek Carr is going to be absolutely fine and do very, very well from a fantasy perspective, to the tune of a 6 to 10 fantasy quarterback. And he's going to do Garrett Wilson beautifully. Garrett Wilson's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Garrett Wilson's an absolute moon man.
The moon men dropping loads in outer space.
Garrett Wilson is a Mars man, traveler.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars man.
I'm so thrilled about this information today. We've been talking about it. We knew this was on the horizon. I told you he'd be released by the 14th or 15th based on the $40 million that he was going to be owed. Here's the report here. Adam Schefter says Raiders officially informed Derek Carr that he has been released per source. Team released him for $40.4 million. So we knew that this was happening because they weren't paying him $40 million. If he stayed on the roster past Valentine's Day, he would have been given a nice little Valentine's Day gift of $40 million. So they had to get rid of him, and he had them by the balls because they had to trade him, and he has a no trade clause. So he said nope. And releasing Derek Carr clears $29.25 million in 2023 in cap space for the Raiders, who are now in the neighborhood of $50 million to work with this offseason. Now, let me tell you this. Being $50 million in availability for cap doesn't mean they can't go get Aaron Rodgers, who's going to cost them $60 million. Doesn't mean they can't franchise tag Josh Jacobs on top of that, and they're certainly going to be able to work and fudge the cap around. The cap is a fictitious number that, yes, there's a limit to how much you can move and bump things around accounting-wise, but that's why there are lawyers and accountants that literally just that's all they do. They get in a room, they think stuff up, and they figure it out. They move things, they move money forward, they move things into bonus money versus, signing bonus money versus all this and that. You can kick stuff around all over the place. So Derek Carr freeing up $29.25 million. There's some dead cap money of about, I think, $5 million, I believe. So $50 million in cap space is plenty of money to tag Jacobs. Maybe they don't tag Jacobs. Maybe they draft a rookie running back. Depends if they have to, what they want to do with that what is the Raiders' number draft pick? Their draft pick is in the top 10. It is pick number 7. So if they draft Bijan Robinson at 7, which would be absolutely smart, and trade for Aaron Rodgers and bring Aaron Rodgers in at $60 million, they have $50 million in cap space. They'll figure out that $10 million. They'll figure out a whole bunch more than $10 million. And so you have Devontae Adams, Bijan Robinson, and Devontae Adams. You have a championship caliber team right now. You have a top 6 team immediately out of the gate in Las Vegas in 2023. If you're me, if I'm GMing this thing, and I draft Bijan at 7 with the cojones that I have, and I go trade for Aaron Rodgers and mortgage whatever I've got to win a championship. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Bijan Robinson, Retro, all these players together equal championship, or at least the best shot you're ever going to have. And if you're about trying to win a championship, this is the move to make. There's no other move to make. There just isn't. And I got to fix this because it is now KC 31 and Philly 30. So let me change that out. I was optimistic, but it is what it is. Back to the news. We got a little bit more news, and then I'm going to take some of the questions, and then I'm going to open the phone lines. So appreciate you all being here. This Derek Carr news is great news today. We've got this right here. Arizona Cardinals. They didn't just target, they landed DC Jonathan Gannon as their new head coach, which, I like. I like that the Cardinals went after a high profile guy. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think that's going to be good for Kyler Murray and the Cardinals offense, but this is a rebuild. Kyler Murray's out for half a season, maybe longer. So this is like a back step rebuild for the Cardinals. This year will not be a winning season for the Cardinals, or if it is, it's going to be a surprise winning season. No kind of playoff hopes or contention in my mind. At least that's how I'm going to approach it. But the Cardinals hopefully build something a little bit more special that can last. I see you're a Carr hater too. Who's a Carr hater? Juju Smith-Schuster sent a Valentine's Day note to Bradbury. I believe that, yeah. And so, he says, I'll hold you when it matters most. That's nice and sweet of Juju. And then we've got this is a little controversial news, okay? Little controversial news. TMZ reporting, as a lot of other people, Adrian Peterson ripping on Damar Hamlin for wearing, and Adrian Peterson doesn't have a whole lot of room to talk. Everyone's doing taking his belt out, the domestic situation that he's been involved in his past, saying he has no reason to or no ability to judge anybody for anything. But Adrian Peterson ripping Damar Hamlin for wearing his called disrespectful jacket to the Super Bowl. This was a weird jacket. We don't really know the context of it. Like, it's almost as if, like, was it designed to look like this? And it really upset some people. He, from my knowledge, he's a religious guy, but what people are upset about is that all the prayers and everybody wanting to pray for this guy, and then the jacket itself has a mockery of the cross. Although some are saying that maybe it was designed by a child, and that's just he put it on a jacket and that's why he's wearing it. So we don't really know the context to it. So I don't want to necessarily give my opinion yet because I don't know the context to it, but there's a lot of buzz going on right now about people being very, very offended by the depiction of this on his jacket. And so anyway, there's a lot going on that. It's a crazy situation, but Adrian Peterson was attacking it. There were a lot of people hitting social media. This was all over the place, and people are saying all the prayers that were sent your way, and you wear this disrespectful jacket, but we just don't know until we have context of who made the jacket. Was it like a 4-year-old kid that drew it and he put it on there? You know what I mean? Like, we don't really know. To my knowledge, he was a religious guy and a Christian guy. I don't, so it's tough to say, but it's all over. So I thought I'd report on it real quick. Now we're going to open up the phone lines. Dial into the show, 602-635-3664.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Um, 602-635-3664. Dial into the show. Your boy Smitty will answer your phone calls, and we'll talk about whatever you want, whether it's this Derek Carr situation, whether it is the Super Bowl. If you want to get into that again, I think we're pretty much over that, but some people still want to vent, and that's okay. We're still so close to it. If you wanted to, I would definitely answer your call. So dial into the show. Appreciate you all. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Oh, try back again. I don't know why I didn't go through. Jets are sadly the worst in the division, and last year doesn't count this year. Yeah, it doesn't, like, you can't take Joe Burrow off the Bengals and start judging the Bengals. Like, the Jets don't have a quarterback. They haven't. I mean, if they sign Mike White to give Mike White the keys the whole time, I think I'm okay with that. I like Mike White enough that I believe he can impress if he's given the job. It's his sole job. He gets the whole offseason to work as a starter. Then I like Mike White. But for anybody to continue to, I think, talk about the Jets being the Jets and having no like different potential alternative stance once or if they acquire an Aaron Rodgers, a Lamar Jackson, or a Derek Carr. Like, even if you were to say, okay, Mike White had a shot, didn't impress you, then I get that perspective. But if you don't have an alternative stance, you're ready to load and launch out there the moment they acquire one of these three quarterbacks. I think you're just judging the Jets off of their past, and you're not giving them a shot at this. It's a new team, bro. It's one of the best defenses in the entire National Football League, and we don't even know how good the defense is because it's always on the field. Once you put a good quarterback in there that can stretch the field, milk the clock, and keep the defense fresh, we're going to see an even better defense. You know what I'm saying? You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Ron Navy, what's up?
Hey, Smitty, what's going on?
Not much, man.
Hey, okay, here's my take on things, and it's just my opinion, and my guess, I guess, as long as everybody has guesses. The Jets just hired Downing. Downing has ties to Carr and Tannehill and Aaron Rodgers, but he does have. I think the Jets are going to go push hard on Carr simply because if they go with any other quarterback, if they go with Rodgers or Jamar or whatever, it's a trade, and so they got to give up something for that trade. The other team's going to be looking for something. With Derek Carr, they just sign him to his deal, and they don't have to worry about giving up any picks. They don't have to worry about any of that. So I think Carr goes to the Jets, and I think that Aaron Rodgers is, in his dart thing, and I think he's going to miss out on his chance. I really don't think Josh McDaniels wants Aaron Rodgers. I think Jimmy Garoppolo goes to the Raiders simply because Josh McDaniels coached him from the very beginning in New England. I know it stinks, but I think
it's possible.
Garoppolo knows the system. He knows the system, and look at it. Everybody's like down on Carr. Last year, before McDaniels got there, right? Carr, the Raiders went on a huge run, and they went into the not Super Bowl. They went into the playoffs and stuff. He was playing good. Well, now you bring in Josh McDaniels, who totally has a whole different system that Derek Carr and everybody else, the whole team's got to learn. And so, yeah, he's not going to have probably the greatest year in the world because he's under a whole new system that he's not even used to. Yeah, I think Carr goes to the Jets. because the Jets will get antsy and they won't know what Rodgers is going to be doing, and they don't have to give up any picks to get him. I think the Raiders, on the other hand, and one of the things that they could do by going with Jimmy Garoppolo is Jimmy's not going to command as much money, so they'll go with him. And see, the other thing is, you think that Green Bay is going to give up Aaron Rodgers without that 7th pick, first round pick?
So I think what happens is that because there's such a shortage of quarterbacks, and if Carr's already gone, then you're going to have people in desperation mode. I understand your perspective, and could I see that happening in a world? There's a world where that could happen. Absolutely. I could see Jimmy G as a Raider. I could see Jimmy G as a Buck. I could see Jimmy G as a Saint. And either way, any of the three situations, it's a disaster. Just a complete fantasy disaster, team disaster, all around. But I do believe Aaron Rodgers is going to the Raiders. I do believe that this entire organization is sitting there going, we have Devontae Adams, we have a shot to tag Josh Jacobs and keep him, or they'll probably have to use that pick in order to acquire Aaron Rodgers, I would guess. And if they give up more future draft capital, whatever, and the Green Bay Packers are okay with that because they're building for the future anyway under Jordan Love and all that, who knows how it shakes out. But I assume that pick might need to be involved. If it is involved, then less of a total package will need to be sent over because that's a really high pick. So tough to know if it's just going to be the one pick, if it's going to be the one pick in some seconds or whatever, or multiple future first rounders. But I do believe that they're sitting there going, we're not winning with Jimmy G, and Adams is getting paid bank. If we bring in Jimmy G, Jacobs isn't going to be happy, and he either signs or he doesn't. He's kind of stuck. It's not like Jacobs has a lot of power. They're going to say, sign your franchise tender. What's he going to do? Sit out? Like, he's going to pretend he's going to, but he's not going to. But he'll be unhappy. It's just not a good look. I mean, you had Derek Carr. You got to know down deep that Jimmy G, and I know you know this, or you probably believe this, but you're just saying what you think will happen. And people make mistakes, coaches make mistakes, teams make mistakes all the time. And people have you either have a weird vaulted impression of Jimmy G, or you know who he is. And you know the reality of the situation. But I just don't see a world where you've got all this ready right now, and you're never going to be in a better position to win than you are right now if they don't go down the Aaron Rodgers road, or maybe they aggressively go after Lamar. And getting the 7th pick would be phenomenal for the Baltimore Ravens. They would want more. They'd want another first rounder as well. But you give the Ravens a 7th pick, and this guy's unhappy in Baltimore, then maybe the Raiders end up getting Lamar in some shocking. We just haven't heard a lot from Lamar in terms, and we haven't heard a lot from Lamar at all. But I haven't heard a lot of buzz or people projecting Lamar in a Raider uniform, so it's hard to imagine it's something that he's okay with until we hear it come out of his mouth. But I firmly believe that the Raiders are so backed into a corner, they're going to surrender whatever they can. Now, if Derek Carr lands with the Jets, I believe that helps the Raiders because they're not competing with the Jets. The Jets and the Raiders are the eagerest beavers out there for a quarterback, Ron. So one of these guys getting taken out and signing Derek Carr leaves very little attractive landing spots other than Miami. So Miami Mike is the only one that I think could come in and trump the situation and say, hey, we'll trade for, you know what I mean? And Miami Mike's so aggressive. He's so aggressive. I could see him making a trade, not just bringing in Derek Carr and trying to sign him, but actually trading draft capital, although they don't have any 2023 first rounders. So that's going to be tough for the Miami Dolphins. Looking at the NFL draft, Miami traded all that away, so they don't have a 2023 first rounder. So they have a little less attractive package to go after a Lamar or an Aaron Rodgers, which makes me think that Derek Carr potentially becomes a quick sidestep maneuver, and they start looking at Derek Carr right away, and they get into this game. These three teams are in the game for Derek Carr, in my opinion. These three teams, these two teams, the Miami and the Jets, the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins are the two teams that are in the Derek Carr game. These three teams, what I was trying to say, are in the Aaron Rodgers game, I believe. I think Miami Mike would be interested in Aaron Rodgers. I just don't know that he has the draft capital for it. So it'll be so interesting how it plays out. Jimmy G's going to ruin somebody's fantasy value. He goes to the Bucs. I'm hoping he goes to the Bucs because I feel like, I hate to say it because there's 2 wide receivers there. There's Godwin and Evans, but we also don't really feel like those aren't the guys on our radar. You know what I mean? Like if Jimmy G goes to New Orleans, I'm so upset about Olave's value because he is a moon man. If Jimmy G goes to the Jets, I'm so upset about Garrett Wilson. If he goes to the Raiders, I'm upset about Devontae Adams because he's a top 10 pick. And I don't want guys like Bijan and Brees and Walker and everybody we love getting pulled up even higher in the first, second and first round because we got, Jimmy G throwing to Devontae Adams and ruining his value from what could probably be with Aaron Rodgers. I'd say 7, 8 overall to like into the second round. But man, anything can happen, and Jimmy G is gonna soil one of these situations, bro.
Yeah, well, I think Josh is a lot like Josh. Don't want Aaron Rodgers, I don't think, because Aaron Rodgers is going to want to do everything his way and not Josh's way. And Josh is he just took over the team, and he inherited Derek Carr, and he's going to want a quarterback that he helped develop from the very beginning. That's why I say Jimmy Garoppolo to the Raiders. I mean, I could be totally wrong with this, Smitty, but it makes so much sense that he would want Jimmy and not put up with a diva like Aaron Rodgers. Well, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers wants to do things his own way, kind of like, Peyton Manning had to do things his way. Brady's got to do things his way. Everybody's got to, curtail. And I just don't think that Josh McDaniels wants to have that situation. He wants somebody that he's going to be comfortable with, and Jimmy fits that bill.
If he is, he's a moron.
He could be. Look, he was Denver's. He went to Denver. His first coaching was in Denver. He failed there, right? So now he's got a second chance with the Raiders. I mean, he's not proven. He didn't have a great year this year. So
any coach that thinks Jimmy G is going to take a team to a championship, like especially at this point, is unbelievable. But it's possible. It's possible. Is there a world where I could see this playing out? Absolutely. But
I think he's going to look at it, and if he decides not to retire, he's going to look at it like saying, okay, well. And this, especially if Carr goes to the Jets, he's going to be like, and if the Raiders do what I think they might do, Aaron's going to either stay in Green Bay or he's going to probably retire because I don't think he wants to go down to Miami, and I think he's going to New York. To the Bucs.
I think he's going to New York. I think he's going to New York, but that's just my guess. Again, the wind blowing, a GM waking up with indigestion and saying this and that. Like you so many things can change. Aaron Rodgers' darkness retreat might change his viewpoint. He wants to retire. Like he might see Dolphins in his visions or something and go to Miami. Like we don't know. It's so much up in the air. But what's crazy about this is Derek Carr is going to set the tone and really set the market, not because of the money, because Aaron Rodgers is getting paid $60 million. Lamar's going to get, like a 240, 230, $250 million guaranteed deal wherever he gets traded to. They're obviously not giving him that amount of money in Baltimore, but to trade him away, the team acquiring him is going to pay him way more because they're having to make him happy to want to go, for this trade to go through. Like no one's going to trade for Lamar with a deal not being worked out. Nobody. So he's going to get paid the most amount of money in a trade. And players know that. That's why Debo wanted to get traded during the offseason. That's why a lot of these players want to be traded because they know the money, the bag waiting for you is so much heavier in a trade. The acquiring team has to pay out big time in order to get you interested in signing a deal. And so you're giving up draft capital as well. So you want to make sure it's all worth everybody's while to make sure it gets done and it's accepted. I think the Jets ultimately get Aaron Rodgers. The reason why your situation could, I think, prove to be true is because if Carr. Actually, you know what? I'm kind of wavering here. I feel like the Jets are going to go hardcore at Carr. I'm going to say this for right now. Carr in New York, Aaron Rodgers a Raider, Lamar Miami. I think that's how it ends up. Carr in New York, Aaron Rodgers in Las Vegas, Lamar in Miami. If I have to force everybody into new situations, do I think that all three are going to work? Do I think that both Aaron Rodgers and Lamar will be on the move? I don't know. I hope so, because I'd rather have Jordan Love also enter the game as a potential quarterback play. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm sure they'll trade him, but who knows if he goes to a bad situation. To allow Jordan Love to stay there with Christian Watson, I think it's pretty decent. It's not bad. It doesn't devalue Christian Watson a ton for me. Of course, he's better with Aaron Rodgers. We'll celebrate that if it ends up happening, but it's a pretty decent play for the Packers in a way, and it gives Christian Watson that ability to at least have a quarterback that knows the system that he's comfortable with, who's looked okay at times. There's some promise there. And so Aaron Rodgers leaving gives us an extra potential quarterback in play in the NFL, and I like that. I just don't know if that'll happen if Aaron Rodgers stays, because they could trade him to Carolina where Jordan Love could go and just bomb, you know. In Atlanta, Atlanta we got to talk about too, because Lamar is potentially in play for Atlanta. So I got to put Atlanta on this board. Atlanta would be, I love that. If Lamar went to Atlanta, I would be ear to ear grin happy. I think a lot of people will hate on it, but when you have, London, you have Kyle Pitts, who's now a moon man. Look at him.
The moon man.
Kyle Pitts.
Dropping
I
loads in outer
Atlanta would be a
space.
good landing spot for Lamar, to tell you the truth, because they got
Space
they
Monster.
got London and they got Pitts, and I think that would be a good spot for him. But if Carr doesn't go to the Jets, then I think Rodgers goes to the Jets before the Raiders. I think Rodgers, he hasn't come out and said it, but I think he's talking to his boy there in the Raiders. And you remember, Adams left him. He didn't leave Adams. So, he could be telling his boy, yeah, I want to come there, but then go to the Jets and say, well, you left me first, so I ain't coming back to you.
Yeah. The truth of the matter is, there, like I said earlier, Derek Carr is going to change everything, because where Derek Carr lands in both of these teams, and all these teams but the Raiders, and you could even include Atlanta, you can include Carolina, all these teams want him. And because, like I said earlier, Lamar and Aaron Rodgers are no guaranteed players to be traded, or Aaron Rodgers to even want to go anywhere, all these teams are just going to fight for Derek Carr, assuming the worst, let's go ahead and try. Because if we don't try and then Lamar and Aaron Rodgers aren't available, we're all screwed. So where Derek Carr lands is going to change everything. So we can predict this and we can predict that, and it's fun. And I love doing it. But the moment Derek Carr goes to Miami, or the moment Derek Carr goes to the Jets or lands in Tampa or something, it's like everything gets shifted. And then that could change where everybody would have went. So it's not something that's easy to predict at all by any means.
And the reason that I kind of went hard with Derek Carr going to the Jets is because they just hired Downing, and Downing has ties to him.
Well,
and, it makes sense.
The Jets have pulled in. The Jets have pulled in him and Hackett, I think, for both those reasons. They want to make their landing spot as attractive as possible for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is their target. I believe Aaron Rodgers is what they want. The problem is going to be, like I said, they've got to predict this ahead of his retreat. And if Aaron Rodgers is telling us the truth, and I think he is, as much as people give him grief and think he's full of crap or whatever, he's very open. Open to the point where it's pissing people off. They always say Aaron Rodgers wants attention because he's an open book. You literally ask him, he'll tell you, and then that creates controversy, and people don't like it, but I love it. But the crazy part is the Jets have to make a gamble. They have to take a gamble. Do they wait on Aaron Rodgers, who they want most, or do they activate plan Derek Carr and just say, we don't know. We got to because Carr's going quick. Carr can sign with any team he wants today, tomorrow, the next day, next week. These other situations wait until next month. Jimmy G can't sign with anybody till next month. Mike White can't sign with anybody until next month. Derek Carr can sign with a team tonight. So he has the total advantage, and he's controlling the entire quarterback movement board. It's in Derek Carr's hands. Everything's in Derek Carr's hands. We got Bruce on the line.
These teams ain't got to worry about trading any picks to get Carr.
Yeah. Brucey, you're live on the show, Brucey.
Hey.
What's up?
Hey, Smitty.
The Bruce is loose.
Hey, I got a question. Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show, which I watched, he said, look, whoever's giving reports about me is false because I haven't even started my retreat yet.
Right.
So couldn't we just, exit him like a Brady and say, until you make your mind up, I don't want you?
I think because Aaron Rodgers is the best option on the board to win now. I think Lamar's the better long-term option. I think Carr's in between because Carr's not, you're winning with Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. You have a very strong shot at being a top 4, top 5 team in the entire National Football League. If you're the Raiders or the Jets, or the Miami Dolphins, if you got Aaron Rodgers, you are a top 5 team. Carr puts them in position for that. Obviously, he's not going to the Raiders, but Carr puts them, the Jets or the Dolphins, in position for that. But it's a little bit taller of an order. I think Lamar puts them in position for that, but gives them also a couple years to try for it. So it's if you're the Jets, again, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. It's hard to know, is it a better gamble? How much do they know about Aaron Rodgers' desire to come to New York? Has Aaron Rodgers had conversations with Hackett? And it didn't work in Denver, so what makes anybody think it's going to work again here? But is there some kind of internal advantage they have right now on Aaron Rodgers wanting to come to New York? But Aaron Rodgers continues to shoot that down. And I err on the side of caution, and I err on the side of Aaron Rodgers is like an open book. And if he says he doesn't know if he even wants to return to football or return to Green Bay or then get traded, then explore those options, I believe him. I believe Aaron Rodgers because he tells you what he's thinking, and that's why he's controversial. But being controversial and likable, apparently, people don't like the guy. I like him. I think they go hand in hand. This guy is controversial. I like controversy. I like open books. I like Aaron Rodgers. I love that he's an absolute gem for the NFL and for fantasy football, and I support the man at all. Unless he retires tomorrow, then he's selfish to me. Because then he takes away Christian Watson or opportunities for Devontae Adams, just like Tom Brady. I wish him well, but it feels fantasy football selfish. And it bothers me that we don't have Brady on this board. We initially called it the Brady board. I know I'm being selfish by calling him selfish, but I'm just joking around. But Brucey, I don't know where he's going. I wish I knew. We could all guess, but it's all up to Derek Carr. Derek Carr sets the tone, bro. Derek Carr sets the tone in the direction of this quarterback carousel musical chair situation because Derek Carr is going to take one of the options away. Once he takes one of the options away, the whole board gets reset. And all the strategy of who to get and when to get, it's all going to change.
Yeah, because I was going to put an X to him, but until he made a decision, because I was like, you know what? He called out Schefter. He called out Rappaport, and he said, whatever you're reporting is fake news. When I want to come on, I'll tell you. So I was like, okay. So I was kind of like, okay, so maybe I should put an X next to him like Brady. Because he can come out tomorrow and say I'm done.
He could, but I don't think he will. But you could put. I'm not going to put an X on him because he's in play. We know Brady's not in play. He's I still think Brady might get a call from somebody, like if the Niners can't keep their quarterback room healthy again or whatever, because they're both coming back from injury. So if the UCL doesn't heal right or there's a setback, and then Trey being the dual threat that Shanahan tries to use him as, maybe he gets injured again. And then all of a sudden they pick up the phone and they say, hey, Brady, why don't you come in here? It's week 10. Come win a championship. Part of one of the reason why Brady retired, I believe, because he said this, during the last offseason, he said that he wanted to come back. He said he had the talent. He couldn't imagine himself retiring at this high level, goes into the playoffs, loses, then retires, then unretires. But he said it wasn't about his skill or his mind or anything like that. But when he was going through camp and all that, he made several, probably in good humor, comments about like what was he thinking being out here with all these young kids going through another grind of the offseason. So like with the offseason out of the way, I think, and given that he's not going to be in the booth until the next season, he's got this entire year during the year to be tempted. Whether he goes through with it or not is a whole nother story. Whether he gets a call is a whole nother story. I think there's one or two situations that would get him to at least think about it and pick up the phone. One would be Miami. Let's say Miami goes into the year thinking Tua's the answer. You know, he'll be fine. He won't get another concussion. And Tua, this playoff contending team, they're dominating. Tua goes out by week 10, and all of a sudden they have this championship caliber team, playoff contending team, and they call up Tom Brady. You know, and same thing for the Niners. I think I don't even know that he wants to play for the Dolphins. These are just my guesses. Like the Niners, if the Niners were in need of a quarterback, and it was week 10 and they were in position to be a playoff contending team, or they were in the playoffs already and a quarterback injury happened, I could see him being tempted. I'm not saying he returned. I could just see him being tempted. Gronk always talks about how never say never. He's retired. He thinks his days are behind him, but he said that if someone called and the right money was there and he spent all his money, he would accept a 1-year deal to get some extra cash. He's already been very open about that, Gronk.
Yeah, I love the idea of Gronk saying that, because I remember, I don't remember too long ago if you heard it, when he came out and said, "Oh, I was traded to the Lions." No, I'm not. Why? Because I retired.
Yeah.
He's going to only go to a winning team.
Kyler Murray's out for at least half a season. But the Cardinals aren't in play. I'm not sure if that's what you guys were talking about here. The Cardinals aren't in play for any of these big name quarterbacks because no one's like Derek Carr. Like people say, what about Derek Carr in Arizona? No one's going to Arizona to be a quarterback for half of a season and then know that they're getting replaced. Like Derek Carr is going to get paid bank. Like people are saying, what about Derek Carr to the Niners? Like what does someone think? Derek Carr is going to pass up an opportunity to be the sole quarterback, get paid bank to go to the New York Jets or wherever, but he's going to go play quarterback competition, and like that's not even a legitimate option. It's not even on the board. It's not even a capable situation.
And if you think about it, Kyler Murray has the Cardinals by the balls too, because he could tell them, "Hey, you trade me here, well, I'm going to go play baseball."
I hope. Well,
so
he could say he wants to play baseball, but he'd never make it. He's too far out of the game. It takes too long to get. There's no way. But he could threaten whatever he wants. But I think they should trade him anyway. He's got trade value. I would trade him. I'd try and get into this pick right here, and I don't think it would be that hard. So like if you look at this NFL draft board, the Cardinals are at the number 3 spot. They're probably going to miss the Stroud and Bryce Young sweepstakes here. So they need to move up one spot. The Texans, like, I wonder if they'd be interested in Kyler Murray. They've given us so many players over the years. Maybe we try and scratch their back. I don't know. I don't know if they're interested. I don't know how many teams would be interested in Kyler. He's kind of a locker room issue. He's kind of a baby. You don't even know if he can win. But it would be interesting to see what the Cardinals could get in some sort of trade. Now, I'm not saying give up Kyler to swap the 2 picks. I would love to get the 2 pick and keep the 3 pick. Imagine getting Bryce Young and still have that number 3 overall pick. But I don't know. I'm just saying this is what I would start doing if I was the head coach, if I was the GM, if I was this new staff. I would be like, what can we look at and explore to change this dynamic of this team? Because I don't believe coming in and having Kyler out for the year and trying to develop a kid I don't believe in, because I don't believe in Kyler. I think he could be good for fantasy. I think he's talented. He can act like Fields on the field sometimes, but I don't know that Kyler Murray's a winner. I don't feel like he's a winner. He may have been in his previous life, but in the NFL, at his size, with his attitude, and without having as much skill as I think he's missing, I don't think he can win. So I wouldn't waste my time. I would try rebuilding around something else. I'd be drafting Bijan or one of the two quarterbacks if they were to fall. The Bears are not taking Stroud or Bryce Young. We know that. And I don't think the Bears are sitting there at one and passing on one of those quarterbacks. So the Bears are most likely going to get a very nice trade offer. They're going to have everybody and their mother trying to get that one pick, because all these teams, the Falcons, the Panthers, every team, even the Lions, who they might love Goff, but these teams want one of these two quarterbacks because they're franchise quarterbacks. They don't come along very often. The Colts might want to move up. You got all these teams that have an opportunity to move up. The Texans drafted 2. The Texans also drafted 12. So they've got some flexibility to potentially, like, maybe they move the 2 to the 1. Maybe the Bears are bold enough to not take a quarterback at the 2 spot, but maybe the Texans move this pick down or something like that. We don't know. The Texans are in prime position. They can make some moves. They need their guy, their quarterback. I don't know if they want to leave it to chance and say we'll take the extra one. Maybe they love Stroud. They want Stroud for sure. Cardinals would be impressive to see this new staff come in and shake things up, but I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna bank on Kyler. They're gonna look at the pieces they have and try and build around it. It's gonna be a mistake because Kyler's not a leader and he's coming off an injury that is gonna hamper him for a little while. He's mobile, so it's different than like Tom Brady tearing his ACL and coming back. This is a mobile quarterback that needs to scramble in order to survive because he can't see over the offensive line. It's a disaster waiting to happen. And I'm not here for it. I'm here for it. I'm a Cardinal fan, but it's like I just hope this staff is creative. That's all I'm going to say.
Me too.
Anything else, guys? I'm going to end it because I got to come back for the 7 p.m. show. Anything else I can do for you guys?
No, I'm okay.
All right, Bruce. Call back later, Bruce.
It's a lot of fun talking about this, and it's great that we all have our, different opinions. And look, when Brady retired, we kind of got deflated with this whole quarterback thing because, no Brady, that kind of took away from it. But
yeah,
the whole Carr situation has made it a lot more interesting and fun to play the game. Who goes where? It's like anything can happen, and I bet you something that none of us expect is going to happen somewhere with one of these players.
Yeah, we could see some massive movement, or it could be very disappointing from the quarterback perspective. But we'll see. Like, it would suck if Lamar ended up getting tagged and not traded or signed to an extension because he's in a place where he can't help anybody fantasy-wise. And he's in a place where he can't really help himself because he doesn't have weapons. And he's in a place where he's busted essentially for 3 years. Whether you want to believe it or not, I can continue to beat a dead horse on it, but everybody knows my stance on Lamar. Disappointed for 3 straight years. What's going to change? Staying in Baltimore where they trade away his number 1 wide receiver and think everything's going to be okay, and then they fall apart. And they try and go more run heavy than ever. This guy's running 180 to 200 times a season. He's going to get hurt. He needs to go somewhere like Miami where he's got weapons and wide receivers. He can dial back his running a little bit, not a ton, but enough to keep himself healthy and less opportunity for injury, and give him some weapons so he can prove himself and grow as a passer. He can't grow as a passer when you're giving him Bateman and wide receivers that are not proven at all, and you trade away Hollywood Brown. So it's crazy to me that Lamar Jackson, it would be so disappointing for him to go back and waste away in Baltimore instead of maybe reviving his fantasy career and helping out, assist guys like Tyreek Hill, Waddle, or Adams, or Garrett Wilson, or whatever. And so it could be very, very exciting, like you said, Ron, or it could be very disappointing. If Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay or retires, staying in Green Bay would be fun too, though, because he would at least get Christian Watson to get Aaron Rodgers back. But if Aaron Rodgers doesn't move and Lamar doesn't move, and it's just Derek Carr, like, what a deflated, like you said, what we thought this was going to be a Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar, Derek Carr movement situation, and then now it's just Derek Carr, which is why I believe, and why we're doing this live stream, which is why I believe these teams will strike now because they're afraid of that too. And Derek Carr's for sure. He's there. He's right in front of him. He's still a good quarterback. I disagree with people that say he's trash. I think he was in a situation that wasn't very conducive for his abilities and winning. And I think that might be why Aaron Rodgers looks at New York a little differently than he does the Raiders, because the Raiders haven't been able to do it. What's in place there that is not making sense. And the whole Jimmy G to the Raiders thing makes sense from that perspective, because if Aaron Rodgers is off the board and he goes to New York, they're screwed. They're screwed. Unless they can trade for Lamar, the Raiders are screwed, and they've got Devontae Adams, they've got Waller, they've got probably no Jacobs or a franchise tag, unhappy Jacobs on their team, and no quarterback. It's a disaster of a situation. The entire franchise crumbles for a handful of years. This is it. They have to act and strike and execute and win in free agency at the quarterback position, or the Raiders crumble.
But you think that, look how they treated Carr, Raiders. They don't seem that smart. They don't seem that smart. So
I agree.
It's really too bad that they didn't retain the, I forget the name of the coach that took over last year, but he ended up coaching them into the playoffs. Too bad they didn't give him a chance to coach this year and brought in McDaniels, because I think they would have had a lot better year this year.
All right, Ron, I got to jump because I got to come back. So I appreciate you, man. I'll see you guys at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, Ron.
Later, Jet.
I'll see you guys at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm live Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern every single Monday through Friday. So this was an emergency live stream. This was not the usual. This was a breaking news live stream. I'll see you all tonight at 7 p.m. I go live whenever breaking news happens. That was this live stream right here on Derek Carr. I go live Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at midnight, most Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays, which is tonight. Your boy Smitty giving you 3 live streams probably today. I think I'll drop Moonman number 13 on the 7 p.m. show or the night show. I haven't decided yet if I have enough time to create everything I need to create to drop it, or even decide. I haven't gone into my darkness retreat to find a Moonman. Maybe every time I do a Moonman show, I need to do a darkness retreat little situation, because your boy Smitty, he has to go into the mountains and get called upon. And once I get the vibe of who's going to be the next Moonman, then I can come in here and drop it for you. Moonman. Right here are the Moonmen currently.
The Moonmen, dropping loads in outer space.
Right here are the current Mars men.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars men.
The Moonmen.
And part of me,
dropping loads in outer space.
Part of me feels like this Miami Dolphin quarterback needs to be the Dolphin or the Jet quarterback.
Space Monsters.
It's like I don't know if Miami Mike is looking like he's going to trade for a quarterback. I don't know. It could be Derek Carr, though. We're not sure. But right now, this Miami Dolphin Moonman quarterback placeholder's there. But this could be the New York Jet quarterback. This could be the Raider quarterback. But I do believe right now we keep it the way it is. And, is Walker a Moonman? He probably will be, but what we're trying to do is identify value. The reason Walker might be a Moonman, and you might see it today, cough, cough, because the reason he hasn't been on the board is because his projected value has been first round, we thought. But we've been doing these underdog fantasy drafts, promo code Smitty. They'll match up to $100 in your first deposit. Promo code Smitty. I'm wearing my underdog shirt. Let me drop that link in the live chat right now. It's in the description of the video. But underdog fantasy, promo code Smitty. We've been doing draft after draft, which we'll probably do tonight. And guess what? Walker's going in the second round. He's going not only in the second round, he's going in the mid-second to late fourth. I'll save it for later. I'm not saying he's for sure going to be the guy today, but we're dropping a Moonman today. That's all I'm going to say. But he's in the discussion inside my brain, and in the discussion when I go up on top of the mountain to find out who the next Moonman is. You can't stay dark because you would miss it too much. I'd go semi-dark. I'd read the chat for 1 day, 2 days, however long I lasted. Ron Navy, appreciate the super chat, my guy. I will see you all at 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, I'm live whenever news breaks, just like this live stream. And also, here are my social handles. Make sure you're following on Spotify. Just search The Fantasy Football Show. That's my website, all the content, bold predictions, one-on-one text device, the trade calculator that your boy invented the first instant-based trade calculator in the fantasy football industry that I can detect anyway through research. That in 2003, that's why I got into the industry. I said to myself, there aren't any trade calculators out there, instant-based trade calculators. There were some downloadable like Dominators by a couple of the sites in the business, but back then your boy Smitty with about 10 other websites were the only fantasy football content creators in fantasy football in 2003. So I got into the business in 2003 because there was no trade calculator that I could find that was instant-based, so I created it, and it's been there ever since. And you can do multiple player trades. It's based off the auction dollar value. So if you enter Jamar Chase and you're trying to trade for Garrett Wilson, it's going to give you auction dollar discrepancy and say don't do the trade. If you add in another player on the Garrett Wilson side and make that heavier dollar amount, then it might tell you go ahead and trade Jamar Chase for Garrett Wilson and Bijan Robinson, and you can go to the bank. Even though I love Jamar Chase, you got to do that trade. Like, that's what the trade calculator provides for you. Get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Dynasty channel. We'll do a Dynasty live stream tonight, I believe. We're getting back to every day on the Dynasty channel. So get ready. Get ready for that. I'll see you all later. People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.